Well, why are you doing it sideways? Hello. Ah. Oh no. Right. For some reason, it's making me do my my live video narrow. But I guess this isn't really a visual video. This is more me reading a travel diary from the first time I went to America in 1999. Now, I went to go to... Cat making noise there. I went to go to Wilmington, South Carolina, as part of a punk festival. I'd been writing to the guy who ran it and thought, yes, me and my mate Steve, let's go to this festival. Now, from what I remember, the diary doesn't go up to the festival because it all got too busy. I think it's the week or so before the festival. Have a look. Yeah, I think it's the before the actual festival. And so let me get started with reading. There you go. We'll find out what happens. My handwriting is very dodgy in this, and yeah. Well, my handwriting is dodgy anyway. So let's see. May the 18th, 1999. Finally, I'm off to America. Now I'm here. I'm settling in a motel watching cable. The flight over was delayed for a while. We had to sit and wait at Gatwick because the toilet was blocked or something. The first thing I noticed was it was rather humid. I had a bit of hassle. I had most of my stuff taken out of my bag. This is at the customs when I got there. I had almost everything taken out of my bag and then I had to put it in back myself, which is very annoying. Once we had the car, we went to a Holiday Inn, but it was too expensive. So here we are in the Econo Lodge. We went out for something to eat. We went to the Landmark Diner, which was mentioned in my Travelling in the South book. We got lost on the way back, which got a bit scary because we found ourselves downtown. Ah, yes, I remember we went downtown and there was like some kind of roadblock with loads of police, and we just turned around and went the opposite way in the car. I'm just trying to remember. I think we landed in Raleigh. I think it was Raleigh. I think we landed in. I can't really remember. And now we're just chilling. So May the 19th. Today we decided to go to the Smoky Mountains National Park. It was interesting watching the urban sprawl thin out and turn into woods, roads and mountains. We made a bit of a diversion from our route to see a village called Batcave. We drove through it without noticing, which is probably how Bruce Wayne kept the secret. Very funny. But we saw Chimney Rock. Which is a huge outcrop of rock surrounded by cliffs and fantastic views. After a bit of a walk from the chimney, we saw the Hickory Nut Falls. We then got back on the path and headed to the Smokies, where we where we initially were going to camp, but we went through a town called Maggie and saw the motel. The motels were fairly cheap, so we picked one and stayed there. We chose Three Pines Motel. It it had a great view across the valley. In the evening, we went to the Salty Dog and the Saratoga bars on the recommendation of the staff at the motel. The Salty Dog was nice but quiet. The bartender was very friendly and chatted to us, saying that everyone asks where he's from because he's got a New York accent. I asked him about cool towns to get to, and he said Chapel Hill was good for bands. After a few beers, we went to the Saratoga, which we were told would have jazz music going on. When we got there, it was packed full of OAPs, but it was still had a nice vibe. It was bluesish, obviously a local's fave pub, because the singer in the band dedicated a song to her nan, who was just voted Miss Maggie Valley. After a few more beers, we walked back to the motel and crashed out. May the 20th. This morning we were woken up by the dawn chorus. So we sat on the front of the motel, looking out of the mountains, and did our diaries. We then drove towards the Smoky Mountains Parkway and stopped at a diner in Cherokee for breakfast, where we had coffee but nothing else because they were out of veggie stuff. We stayed and chatted for about an hour. When we left, we did not have to pay for the coffee, and we were recommended to go to Pete's Pancakes for breakfast. When we found it, I had omelettes and grits, which really set me up for the day. We drove across the Smoky Mountains, which was rather nice. We ended up in Tennessee, so we looped back around the park to get back into Carolina. On the way back, we took a bit of a detour to see Dollywood, which is Dolly Parton's theme park. Unfortunately, it was shut, but the security guard was friendly and knew New Haven. He said he used to go to Germany a lot from there. He did not explain further. From Dollywood, we got a bit lost. There does not seem to be so many road signs in Tennessee, but after a while we found the Foothills Parkway, which is a windy road that takes you across the edge of the Smokies. We were aiming for Anderson, but it was too long a trip, so we found some camping in a town called Robbinsville. The old lady who took our booking had crazy hair. There was a group of 3 Australians camping there. We went to the local town to find the supermarket so we could get some food and beer. We got food only. We got the food only to find it was a dry county, so there was no beer for sale. For supper over the campfire, we had baked potatoes, sweet and normal, veggie hot dogs, um, and steamed red chard, top food. After we'd eaten, the Australians came over and we chatted for quite a while. We could see the glow of the glowworms flashing in the trees, which was rather nice. I think that might have been fireflies rather than glowworms. May the 21st. We started the day off with toasted bread and cheese, which was very nice indeed. We stopped for brunch in a veggie cafe in the middle of nowhere. This particular nowhere was called Long Creek. We had hummus, sandwich and beer. We then headed towards Anderson. It was a small town. We went in to a couple of thrift stores and got a few records. We did not go all the thrift stores because one was supposed to be in a rundown area, which I took to mean rough, and I am a big wimp. From Anderson, we joined the interstate and went past Columbia. After that, we went off the interstate to find a cheap motel. First of all, we went along a country road. Then we encountered a large bridge, which seemed to be a bit run down area, but that was probably my imagination. I asked the motel bloke if he knew of a friendly bar, because I'm British and a coward. He suggested the Tiki Bar as one of the bars, which was one of the bars which has blacked out windows. Steve and I sighed a breath of relief when a family came out of it. We had a very pleasant time and even had a tequila drink bought for us. But they described the tequila as Fruity Loops or Mexican Winterline because it's blue. We then went back and had a hot and sticky night. May the 22nd. We drove from Orangeburg to Charleston. We stopped at the something grill for brunch. I asked the bloke who served me where a good pub or night club might be. He suggested the Horse and Cart to us. Then we went to the visitor centre to sort out cheap motel or camping. They did not sort out cheap places, but they put us in the direction of a campsite. While we were going back to the car, we saw that there was a reggae festival on, so we thought we might be able to that we could get camped up, then go and skank for the afternoon. We were going to James Island campsite and we were getting there, and then suddenly there was a diversion because a bridge was out. We had to do a huge loop only to find that the camp was only slightly past the first detour sign. So we got there and put our tent up and then set off to find the park where the reggae festival was in. Eventually, after a lot of driving around, we got the we found out the festival was yesterday. So we parked and found the horse and cart. We got there and had a few beers and had a super duper night. That, I think, was where I first. No, yes, I remember they had a dollar beer barrel where it was loads of different beers and the barman would put his hand in and it'd be for $1. And I think we had Pabst Blue Ribbon for the first time there. I woke up in the morning, did some yoga stretches. This is May the 23rd, and did some stretches which felt good. After that, I went for a walk around the campsite. I walked for about an hour and a half, which was very nice. I found a fishing dock that came out over some reed banks. I sat and watched the birds for a while, which was rather nice. As I got back to the tent, I had a chat with a bloke who was camped near us and had a chat about doing yoga and stuff. I remember this guy started talking about how he collected straitjackets. Yes. Steve had got up by that time and we went and had a shower to do our laundry. Then we drove to Foley Beach, which was a beach with a few posh wooden houses. We had a breakfast in a cafe and went into Charleston. We had a drive and a walk around, then we headed towards the horse and cart where we had a bit to eat and several beers. Several grab beers. A grab beer is when they just grab a beer from a random beer from a cooler, which was good. Then we went to watch the Star Wars film. I think this was, yeah, the first new Star Wars films. Jar Jar Binks one at the cinema, which is very much like a British one, except you could get free refills at the snack bar. Then it was to the horse and cart, then home. May the 24th. Today seemed like a long day, but it was a damn fine day. We had a buffet brunch in a small shack type restaurant called the Seawet, called the Seawet. I don't know. It was very full of local people, which is a good sign. Everyone was very friendly, so we had a good stuff out. Once we'd started to get closer to Myrtle Beach, you could see the crassness start. So I talked Steve into a round of crazy golf, which is fun. All the crazy golf, which is fun. All the crazy golf as we got further to Myrtle Beach got crazier and crazier. Before we got to Myrtle Beach proper, we went to Surfside Beach to have a drink, and we went to a bar that felt like a bit like the Tiki Bar. Then we moved on to Myrtle Beach to find a motel. We went to the Lanceray Motel. The bloke behind the counter used to be from England and gave us a special price, or so he said. As we checked in, a rather hyperactive woman booked enough. See, I've got some orange writing, which is very difficult to read. Booked. Some hyperactive woman booked enough. Booked in enough said. Know what I mean? All right. Steve and I got to a bar to find. I really can't read this pen. Out. We then went into Myrtle Beach to find what it had to offer. We went into the Burger King and asked for a veggie Whopper, which was a normal Whopper without the burger. We then went to Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, which is pretty good. Which had a really good walkway corridor with mirrors. It made you feel like the walkway was twisting and moving about. When we came out, we went across the road to a bar to have a few beers. We had a chat with a couple at the bar, one of whom was from Cheshire. He had lived in Myrtle Beach and had a girlfriend and child, which he said what made him stay there. He recommended that we go to a club called the Down on the Broadway, which is a sort of club complex with several clubs to choose. The first club was a 70s and 80s retro type club, and as we were leaving here, we could hear the club next door playing a few cool tunes, so we went in there and danced our arses off. May the 25th. Today our legs are painful and wobbly from so much dancing. We left the motel to head towards Wilmington rather than stick to the interstate all the way to Wilmington. We followed some of the smaller coast roads, which meant we could catch a ferry across Cape Fear, the Cape Fear River. Once we were in Wilmington city limits, I tried to phone Lee. Hello, Lee Buffalo. While we were having a break in a Dunkin' Donuts, but I could not get the phone to do what I wanted, and it swallowed my money. I tried at another phone box, and we tried at another phone box. Lee and Dave Jr. met us and drove us to Kenyatta's house. Hello, Kenyatta. Which is a lovely house overlooking a river. Then beachfront. Kenyatta's room floor looks very much like my friend Troy's house. Both my friend Steve and I have a friend called Troy, and Kenyatta's house was very much like a a comforting place full of records and videos and slight chaos. Looked very much like Troy's room, which is strangely comforting after all the travelling. After all the travelling to see something familiar. We sat and chilled for a while and helped do some of the tapes to give out in a bar. We then went out to a couple of bars, meeting lots of people and drinking cheap beer. I think this is where we had Pabst Blue Ribbon before the hipsters were having it here. The last bar was a punk bar called the Rusty Nail. There was a band playing, which was a good way of getting into the coming music. We stayed at Lee's girlfriend's flat, which was so nice, with two very frisky cats. May the 26th. We wake up late this morning with the cats chasing about. Lee said, "Do you want to go for some proper southern cooking?" And we went to the Southern Country buffet. The food was so nice. The place had a really good vibe. And that is all that survives of the diary. If you want to see more about my trip, to check out my videos of when I was in of the Wee Fest. They're somewhere. I'll put it in the description. Thank you ever so much for watching. I will eventually get around to doing more of these, but it's hard work doing all the reading. Bye bye.